The rain came down like it was trying to erase the city, and if Daniel Brooks had been 5 seconds slower, it would have erased her too. He didn't even think. One moment he was wrestling his daughter's too big backpack up onto his shoulder after a late pickup from school, and the next he heard metal scream against metal and saw a car spin out, fishtailing toward the slick intersection. The headlights cut through the rain like panicked eyes. People froze. Daniel ran. He yanked the driver's door open as steam hissed from the hood and flames licked at the crumpled frame. Inside sat a woman, stunned, blood at her hairline, fingers locked on the steering wheel as if letting go would mean falling off the world. He didn't know her name. He didn't know who she was. He only knew there was no time. "Hey. Look at me," he said, his voice steady in a way he didn't feel. "I've got you. You're going to be okay." He got her out seconds before the engine ignited. By the time sirens flooded the street and strangers pulled him back, Daniel was kneeling in the rain, chest heaving, his daughter Lily crying into his jacket. The woman lay on a stretcher, alive, breathing, eyes searching the chaos until they found him. Their gaze locked for a split second. Then the ambulance doors slammed shut. Daniel assumed that was the end of it. Heroes didn't get sequels. Life didn't pause to applaud. It moved on, merciless and demanding, especially for a single father barely keeping his head above water. Daniel Brooks woke every morning before dawn in a small apartment that smelled faintly of instant coffee and crayons. Lily's drawings were taped to the fridge, overlapping like a timeline of her growing up without her mother. Cancer had taken Emma 3 years earlier, slowly enough to prepare them, cruelly enough to break them anyway. Daniel worked construction when there was work, and drove delivery at night when there wasn't. He measured his life in bills paid late and dinners stretched with rice. He measured his success by whether Lily went to bed smiling. The rain-soaked night faded into memory, filed away with other moments when adrenaline did something miraculous and then left him alone with sore muscles and anxiety. Until 3 weeks later, when a black car waited outside his building. A woman stepped out, umbrella perfectly centered, shoes untouched by puddles. She looked around like the street might stain her by association. "Daniel Brooks?" she asked. "Yes. I'm Mara Klein. I represent Ms. Evelyn Hart." The name meant nothing to him. But the card she handed over did. Hart Global Solutions. CEO Evelyn Hart was a name anyone who read headlines knew. Technology titan. Billionaire. Ice queen of the business world. Daniel blinked. "I think you have the wrong person." Mara's smile was professional and unyielding. "You pulled Ms. Hart from her car on the corner of 9th and Grant during a storm 3 weeks ago." The air seemed to thin. Lily peeked around his leg, curious. "She would like to meet you." The Hart building rose like a glass cathedral, all clean lines and quiet power. Daniel had changed into his only suit, a hand-me-down from a friend, and still felt like an intruder as he sat in the waiting area. Every surface gleamed. Every person moved with purpose. When Evelyn Hart entered the room, it fell silent. She walked with the same precision as the building itself, tall, controlled, dark hair pulled back. A faint scar traced her temple, barely visible if you weren't looking for it. But when she saw him, something in her face softened. "You saved my life," she said simply. Daniel stood, unsure what to do with his hands. Anyone would have done the same. Her eyes held his, sharp but sincere. No. They wouldn't have. She offered him a job that day. Not charity. Not a reward. A job. "I don't want to insult you with a check and send you away," Evelyn said. "I reviewed your background. You're intelligent. You managed logistics for 3 years before your wife passed. You left because life changed." Daniel swallowed. He rarely spoke about Emma to strangers, much less people like this. "I need someone I can trust," Evelyn continued. "Someone who reacts under pressure without thinking of themselves first. I want you as my personal operations manager. The pay will change your life." Daniel laughed softly, a reflex born of disbelief. "I'm not qualified to work here." Evelyn leaned forward. "You were qualified to run into a burning car. Skills can be taught. Character cannot." He thought of Lily. Of the overdue rent notice folded in his wallet. of the way exhaustion felt permanent. "What's the catch?" he asked. A pause. "Honest. The job will demand a lot of you. Long hours. Travel. And scrutiny." Daniel nodded slowly. "I'm used to hard." He accepted. The transition wasn't easy. Daniel struggled at first with the corporate language, the endless meetings, the unspoken hierarchies. There were people who looked at him like a charity case who'd slipped through the cracks. He felt their doubt like grit under his collar. But Evelyn didn't coddle him. She challenged him. She pushed him into situations that forced growth. When he stumbled, she expected him to stand back up. And slowly, he did. Late nights became routine. So did shared dinners in the office, paperwork spread between them, city lights glowing below. Daniel learned there was more to Evelyn Hart than headlines suggested. She had grown up poor. Brutally poor. Her father drank. Her mother worked until she collapsed one day and didn't get back up. Evelyn had clawed her way out with discipline so rigid it bordered on cruel. She trusted control because it had never abandoned her. Daniel listened. He never tried to fix her stories or turn them into lessons. He just listened, the way he wished someone had listened to him when Emma was sick and everyone expected him to be strong. Lily met Evelyn 6 months later. Daniel had no choice. His childcare fell through on a day Evelyn refused to postpone a meeting. He'd brought Lily along prepared to apologize for everything. Instead, Evelyn knelt to Lily's level. "You're the reason your dad is always in a hurry," she said, not unkindly. Lily considered her seriously. "He says I'm the reason for everything good." Something flickered in Evelyn's eyes. Something dangerously close to tears. From that day on, Evelyn asked about Lily every morning. She kept snacks in her office for late days. Once, she even attended Lily's school play, standing in the back, applauding harder than anyone. The line between professional and personal blurred quietly, the way important things often do. But challenges have a way of surfacing when you start to believe you've earned peace. A rival company launched a hostile takeover attempt. Lawsuits piled up. The board questioned Evelyn's decisions, her focus, her judgment. Whispers followed Daniel down hallways. He was a distraction, they said. A weakness. A liability. Then Lily got sick. Hospital beds have a way of shrinking the world. Daniel sat by Lily's side listening to machines beep and cursed himself for every moment he hadn't been there. Evelyn called constantly. When Daniel didn't answer, she showed up. She stood at the foot of the bed, stripped of authority, looking helpless. "I can step back," Daniel said quietly that night. "From the job. From everything. I won't let my life interfere with yours." Evelyn shook her head. "You are not an interference. You are the first thing in a long time that has felt real." The board forced Evelyn's hand weeks later. It was him or her position. Daniel handed in his resignation before she could choose. Evelyn stared at the letter, then at him. "I didn't ask you to do this." "You didn't have to," he said. "I know what sacrifice looks like. You taught me that." She let him walk out. The following months were hard again. Familiar hard. Daniel found work where he could. Lily recovered fully. Life steadied into something simpler. Then the news broke. Evelyn Hart resigned as CEO. Declined a golden parachute. Bought out the board. Hart Global restructured. New leadership. New foundation. And a new company. Daniel was called to a small office overlooking the same city he once nearly lost everything in. Evelyn was waiting. "I realized something," she said. "Control isn't the same as safety. And love is not weakness." She offered him a partnership this time. Equal footing. Shared risk. And for the first time in her life, she offered something without conditions. Her heart. Daniel didn't answer right away. He thought of Emma. Of Lily. Of the rain. Then he took Evelyn's hand. Together, they built a life not from fear or debt or obligation, but from gratitude and choice. And every time it rained, they remembered the night that taught them both how fragile and how extraordinary a single moment could be.